Deline's been negotiating a self-government agreement for, I think this January will be, which would be 2014, would be 18 years. So 17 years negotiating. The last year we spent trying to get it to a point where we can initial the agreement and bring it to a vote. The history of the negotiations, I've started listening to the stuff in this land claim agreement, and when they were negotiating the land claim agreement, they had a provision in there to deal with self-government. Federal policy at the time wouldn't allow Deline or the Sahtu to negotiate self-government during the land claim discussions, so it was something that they would have to do in the future. And Deline have already started discussions on trying to create a public Aboriginal government by combining the Ban and the Hamlet Council, forming a charter community. And once they've created a charter community, it was pretty much the same time as the land claim agreement was being done. And we've got the charter community established in 1993. The land claim agreement was finished in 1993. The community started about 3 years after the land claim and becoming a charter community, that there was a step missing. And the charter community operated under two different types of legislation. That is the Indian Act and the municipal legislation that created a charter community. So there was always this difference between opinions on how to do things for governance because the two different legislations. So it was quite obvious that the community wanted to move to another step. I wasn't involved until they actually hired me. So the community had done a lot of work prior to me, and there has been a lot of discussion amongst the elders and the community about going forward on a future government agreement, and then also trying to do it sort of on a community basis. So in September of 1996, the community spoke to the region about getting support on negotiating the community-based self-government agreement for Deline, and the support from the region was unanimous, so everybody supported the idea, and the proposal for negotiations was submitted to the federal government in December, and by January we got word that they were ready to negotiate with the community of Deline, basically to fulfill their obligation in the land claim agreement. I don't think anybody was prepared to deal with Deline, mainly because this is the first real combined Aboriginal public government that we've seen out there. And so there was no real policy in place to deal with us, whether it was territorial or federal government. And we'd taken probably about 3 to 4 years on trying to come to an understanding as to what is it that we were trying to do. We had to educate both governments, and both governments tried to educate us in regards to what was possible and what's not possible. In most cases, I think we had to try to really think outside the box and stretch both the inherent right policies as far as we can, including the self-government policies and the stuff that we have outlined in the Sahtu agreement. The negotiations were both learning experience for myself and for my team, and for the community. Nobody knew exactly what self-government should look like in Deline, other than the fact that we knew that we needed to do something to change the direction of our people and where we're heading. So we've wanted to make sure that we'd listen to what the people were saying. We listened to what the elders, even before us, were saying, because there was recordings of elders that talked about self-government who were no longer with us. We had to listen to those. And we also needed to listen to the elders that predicted the future for us that was not, they're no longer around also. So there was a whole series of education amongst ourselves. We also worked on the Port Radium file simultaneously. So that was another good, exciting experience, but it was tiring. But in the end, we've managed to learn a lot about the history of our people and the stories from our elders, and it sure helped us and myself especially try to understand what is it the people, where they came from, how they thought, how they lived, how they educated one another, and what was important to them. And so when we negotiated the self-government agreement, we kept all of those things in mind, saying, well, what are the principles that we need to follow to get our people to another state so that we can address a lot of the issues that are plaguing our people today.